Local recordings are off. Is that bad?
That's fine. We're live now.
Yeah, we're live.
Someone prepared for this. Oh God! Hey everyone. Jesus!
Hey.
All right, get the live chat up. I just said the Lord's name in the first 20 seconds. Hey everyone. Assuming there are people here, of which there are 12 of you, because I can see it in our magic box thing. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a really good day. If you're here, you've probably come from Reddit, YouTube, the Copywriting Collective, the Copy That Discord server, one of those things. It's lovely to have you. I'm Alex. That's Rod. That's Lindsay. We are three copywriters, and we want to answer some questions today because we have nothing better to do apart from work. But who wants to do that? I just want to get paid, as do a lot of you guys, judging by the questions. So let's answer those. Here's how this is going to work. We asked for questions a few days ago, and we have been sent, I would say, what would you guys say? Dozens, near 100-ish questions.
Sounds accurate.
I hope not.
So we've had quite a lot of questions. God knows if we're going to get through all of them, but we are going to get through, I would say, the majority of them because we have a hard limit, which we'll see how long it lasts for, of 5 minutes per question or 6 minutes per question. And about 4 more questions have just come in the live chat. God help us. So we're just going to crack into this and really help you guys answer any questions you have about copywriting, because a lot of you guys are new, and we were new once as well, but now we're not, and we know how things work. So we want to just kind of help. Rod, Lindsay, anything to add?
Yes. We will be answering some questions from the chat as well, so don't feel like it's completely useless if you have a question in chat that you're asking. However, we got a ton of questions, so there's a chance that your question's already on the list. So if we ignore your question, it's not because we hate you, it's because someone else asked it first and they're better than you because they're faster, so we're going to answer their question.
Yeah, I mean, I know we said first come, first serve, but I feel like for the folks who showed up today, we owe it to them. If you ask a really good question in the live comments box, I think we should just say we have authority to immediately bump you up ahead of the line if we want, and just answer your question in front of everyone else. What do you think?
Care. I don't care about rules. Do what we want. This is our stream. They're here looking at us. You don't have to be. Leave. No, I love you guys. Thank you for being here and validating our copywriting. Okay, so let's just crack into it then, which is the number one question. Just quickly, the way we have ordered these, we're trying to go through, apart from what Lindsay just said, we're trying to go through the Reddit post first, because that was the one that was the first one we put out. And we've gone by most popular question on that because hopefully it's going to please the most people. And then we'll move on to the YouTube community post, and then we'll get to as many in the chat as we possibly can. But also we'll mess around with that structure as you go through, I'm sure.
Yep.
All right. So question number one. This is from Red Karenit, and it says, "Can you, the copy chads," which is a very good description, "suggest the best roadmap possible for a newbie to become a great copywriter by the end of 2023? Now, the first thing I'm going to say before we open the floor up here is we did a whole 4-hour stream about this very topic in February, I think, titled "How to Become a Copywriter in 2023. So that is a resource that is 100% free. I would definitely go and point you to, because we spoke about it for a long time. We went into a lot of detail, but damn straight, we're going to sum it up for you here as well. I have a way to start with this, but Lindsay or Rod, do you want to jump in and say something here?
I think that's a good place to start. Before you begin your spiel, I would encourage folks to head over to copythatshow.com and sign up to our email list. We curated a 21-day beginner sequence where we basically just pulled out what we think are Copy That's best videos and lessons for beginners. And across 21 days, we will send you what we think is our best content for getting started as a new copywriter. So I think it's another great free resource that you can get immediately.
Yeah.
Yes.
And while they're on our website, they can also go to the tab or this link I just posted in chat, the How to Start Copywriting guide that has some similar videos, but also just step-by-step, everything from like the books you should read to how to practice writing copy to how to create spec work to how to apply for jobs to how to hopefully get jobs. So that's another great resource you should make use of.
That's very true. And these are all free, by the way. None of these are paid. We're not going to be selling you a course in this video, so don't worry about that.
Damn
But
it.
yeah, I know, Rod, but we said we wouldn't. We got to be nice. But yeah, all those things are free. And if after this video, like if your biggest question right now is how do I start as a copywriter in 2023, please go and use all those things, because I know people who have, well, are probably coming up to a dozen people who have used those things and are now just like fully working copywriters, earning a good chunk of money. And they didn't pay for anything. So 100% possible without paying for a course. Go and look at that. That is a good place to start. But let's quickly sum up where's the question gone? There it is. What's the best roadmap possible for a newbie to become a great copywriter by the end of 2023? I'm going to give you what is the universal answer here on Copy That, which is it depends, but in a very specific way. The biggest thing it depends on is how proactive you are being in trying to get clients, like without a doubt. Biggest pitfall I see new copywriters fall into is they will get into a kind of learning cycle where all they want to do is watch another video and read another book, take another course and read another cheat sheet or whatever. And they keep doing that for 4, 5, 6 months because they feel like they have to do that before they even start to get clients. All you need is one good course, and by the way, free resource. So the How to Start Copywriting that we just linked, or a book that someone has written. Doesn't even matter on the course or the book to a degree. As long as you just read 1 or 2 things, you are then ready to start freelancing or reaching out to try and get clients. The biggest difference between people who make it and people who don't, and this will be the same in 2023, is did you actually start trying to get clients? How do you get clients is a question we are absolutely going to get in the stream, and I'm not going to answer it right now. We'll answer it as we hit those questions, and we'll come up with different methods for you. But generally speaking, go and use those resources that we just linked you to. copythatshow.com/how to start copywriting. Don't even need an email for that one. Just completely free webpage on how to start. There it is. And bear in mind that the biggest difference is, am I going to keep persisting with trying to find clients? We'll talk about how to find clients in a moment. Lindsay, Rod, anything else you would add to this before we break the 5-minute barrier?
Yeah, just one thing. I think it can be really, it sounds really intimidating. Like, oh my God, just read a book and then, or take a course or do whatever and then start getting clients, because a lot of people will do that and be like, oh my God, it's only one thing. How could I possibly be ready? But the truth of the matter is that being a good copywriter is not just knowing theory or not just knowing like what you should write. It's having the experience of like working with a client, getting a sense of how clients actually behave, how campaigns actually work. And until you start to get your hands dirty, it's really hard to understand how all these different theoretical pieces that you're learning fit together in the real world. And so even if it's a little bit scary, there comes a point very early on where the biggest step you can take for yourself is just to jump into the deep end and start getting that experience, because without that, you're going to know a whole bunch of stuff that like should work, but in the real world either isn't very applicable in most cases or like doesn't actually work. So
yeah, it's going to force you to learn the stuff you need to know to do the job. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think we could, I mean, there's so much to be said about this topic.
Yeah, there's also there's 2 more things I just want to address quickly that have come in that link to this. Adrian R said, other recommendation is go to the Wednesdays and Fridays to the office hours of John in the Discord. Yep, 100% recommended. John is a very good friend of all of ours. I began copywriting/marketing with him 3 years ago now, like when we were both kind of trying to find our way. He taught me a bunch, was a very big influence on my early career. I'd like to think I was on his as well. Very good friend, stand-up guy, does live streams every Wednesday and Friday for free in the Copywriting Collective. So that's another really great resource. And then someone else just said, is it possible by the end of 2023 as a complete beginner to be a freelancer while writing clear and compelling copy? 100% yes.
100%.
The quickest I've ever seen anyone get paid for copywriting is 3 weeks. Shout out Elise. Okay. Moving on. Next question. What we got in the banners? Someone claims they made $40,000 a month at his peak as a freelancer. Is this BS? Important note, he does sell a course. Rod, want to take this one?
I mean, maybe it's BS, maybe it's real. I think one thing that will become clear very quickly once you start working as a copywriter in the sort of more the broader online digital marketing industry is that like you can make a pretty good amount of money as like just writing copy, but most of like the real money that's made is running businesses, being a strategic advisor for businesses. And so I would be very skeptical of someone who claims to have made $40,000 a month just writing copy, because at the end of the day, just like fulfilling on someone's strategy is like not super, super valuable. But if this person runs multiple businesses, is doing some other things during the course of which they're writing copy, like I could see how that could be possible. And like, you know, there are people who make that much.
I 100%
Yeah.
know a lot of copywriters who are making over $500,000 a year writing copy. I will say they work within organizations and are intertwined with them and have built up relationships within the organization. They know what is happening with their marketing team's calendar. They are plugged into the products, you know, what is actually being sold. So they aren't necessarily freelancers. They might as well be operating as freelancers because they lead the same lifestyle, but they're just very close to the organization. But they're absolutely making that money.
Yeah, it's absolutely possible. I'm going to address the second part of this question, which is important to note he does sell a course. Now, anyone who is selling a course, I would regard them with suspicion immediately, including us. There are things that we sell, and you should always ask the question, okay, can I actually trust this person? Now, if someone is claiming you can earn $40,000 with copywriting, and I'm going to show you exactly how, I would never make that promise because I could not guarantee that I could show someone how to make $40,000 with copywriting. I can give you the tools and I can show you the ways that I have done, like, earned big money, but like, there's no way I could guarantee anyone could do that. So if anyone is saying to you, pay me and I'll teach you how to do exactly this, I would be immediately skeptical. So always take it with a grain of salt. But that's going to be, that would be my kind of opinion on the topic.
Yeah. I think the other thing there too is like, and this is a copywriting thing, how well can we read copy? How well can we evaluate copy? When someone writes in a sales letter, in an advertisement, hey, I made $40,000 a month copywriting, the implication there is that therefore they have expertise that will allow you, that to which you will gain access that will allow you to make a similar amount, if not the same amount. And while it may be true that they've made $40,000 a month, it is not necessarily true that you'll be able to replicate that. And it's not necessarily true that they will have an actual blueprint that will be replicable for other people with varying levels of experience. And so I would not trust someone who said that, because the sort of implication that they're trying to see throughout their copy, even if they don't say it outright, is suspect. So I tend to look at those things with, you know, super, super raised eyebrows, but, you know, they might not be lying.
Agree. Okay, next question. Is it hard to niche out and niche back into a different niche? That's a lot of niches. Is it hard to niche out and niche back into a different niche? If that makes sense. For example, I niche down into e-com. Can I make the move to niche into SaaS? I want to throw this to Lindsay, because Lindsay, I know that we both have had experience in many niches, local businesses particularly. But what do you feel about cross niching? Niche crossing.
Yeah, I mean, you can niche down into anything you want. My first question back would be, why are you choosing to move? Is it because you think that there's more money to be made elsewhere? Or is it because it's actually an area where you're passionate about it? And I hate to use that word passion, because I think that a lot of people struggle to identify that, and it can kind of be a flighty thing as well. And I wouldn't necessarily say that you should just 100% follow your passion, but that would be my first question, is why are you kind of moving on? Were you unsuccessful at your current niche? And in let's see, e-com it was, and then now you're kind of hunting for something else. Just make sure that your motivation is good enough to sustain you. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're just going to end up bouncing back and forth between niches, you're going to do none of them well. And then it's going to feel like you failed.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give a very clear answer to this, which is yes, you can make the move into other niches. In fact, what the example you have given, moving from e-commerce to SaaS, is like exactly what I have done. Almost. I still do e-com, but like I now, my main role, I guess, is head of marketing at a SaaS firm. So
how did that transition come about for you, Alex, real quick? Was it something that was conscious, or was it you were pushed in that direction?
No, that was conscious. That was a well, it wasn't like I want to go into SaaS. I think you get to a point in your marketing career where you stop thinking about niches and you just start thinking about making money for businesses. Because actually, niching down, we've got other videos, and in the 2023 How to Start Copywriting, we talk about niching. In that, I think me and Sean did a 101 video on niching as well. But like there is no perfect niche, and it becomes you can cross-pollinate between niches. So I got a job in SaaS because the company really lined up with what I wanted at the time, and still does. So I've kind of been pushing that. So yes, it's 100% possible. Like, don't think a niche defines you, because it doesn't.
Yeah. The other thing too is, like, if you're super early on in your career, don't worry about the niche. Like, just find opportunities to write, and over time you might find yourself niching just because all your clients tend to be in one area, but it doesn't need to be this super conscious thing where it's like, I want to do SaaS, therefore I'm only going to look for SaaS opportunities. It may be the case that you end up better suited for SaaS, but like if you get ecom work and you can also get SaaS work, why not do both?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next question. If you don't mind, I'm going to take this question to begin with, because I don't know if anyone else can tell, I'm actually quite ill at the moment. So I'm kind of getting through this on drugs and anger alone. And this question is really gonna help me with the anger part. I'm not actually angry at you, odd, so don't worry. But the question is, what are some great current examples of modern DR in action that you have seen? All right, everyone watching this right now, the 50 people who are live with us, you have all been susceptible to a modern piece of DR being on this video right now, because you had to click a link to get to this video. I will explain what DR is in a moment, because I can feel Rod asking that question. So DR, direct response. You might hear this as a copywriter, you might hear this get thrown around a lot. Direct response, what does it actually mean? Well, there's what it actually means, and there's what people think that it means. What people think that it means is they think it means old school copywriting. They think it means pushy sales language where it's like big red letters and exclamation points and, hey, can you imagine sitting on a beach with 10 pina coladas, like pouring onto your laptop and then getting annoyed and then realizing, oh, why am I on a beach doing work? Anyway, that's what people think it is, that kind of pushy sales language. What DR actually is, it's an objective. It's not a style, it is an objective. Tattoo this to your brain, okay? It is not a style, it is an objective. Direct response purely means that all you're trying to do is get the reader to do something, to elicit a direct response from them, i.e. click a link or call a phone number. Yeah, immediately. You want them to click a link and you can track that they've clicked that link, so you know they've clicked it. That is what direct response means. So you're all sitting here watching this video because you clicked a link, because maybe you saw my message in a Discord server. Maybe you saw the community post on YouTube. Maybe you hear from the Reddit post. All of those things are examples of direct response copy, because they're all text written with the intent to get you to click a link and join this video right now. That is an example of modern direct response. So just want to get that out of my system, first of all. When we talk about direct response, that is what we're talking about. So the question, in essence, is a flawed one, because basically everything is direct response, where the whole point is for the reader to do something immediately that you can track. But also, there are plenty of examples of modern, old-styley writing, that modern salesy language everywhere. You just go to the financial niche, the healthcare niche, anything with newsletters being sold or promos being the kind of primary form of selling. Also to e-commerce products themed towards like survival nuts and stuff like that. That has plenty of the old school language in it that still works today because it's talking to an audience who resonates with that. So in both cases, there are loads of examples of modern DR. Hopefully I've answered that and put that to bed forever. And I'm sure no one will ever ask anything like that ever again, especially not the person on Reddit who made a post about how they hate direct response. And someone cut me off quick. I'm going to keep talking.
Yeah. So what Alex said, I largely entirely agree with. I think for me personally, the best example of modern DR is just YouTube ads. Any ad you get on YouTube is going to be prompting you to click the ad to go somewhere else, to buy something, to do something, to engage with something. Like that is just DR. Advertisement, response, they get some shit out of it. It's very simple. Everyone's experienced it. And it's like so good these days that a lot of time, like, or most people who complain about DR do not even think about the ads that they're served on YouTube as direct response. Mm-hmm. So, it's evolved a lot from that old school. Here are the benefits of our product. We're 20 times more effective. The biggest roses ever. 20 times more blooms.
It annoys me that direct response has become a synonym for like bad copy. It's like it's DR unless it was something that I clicked, in which case it was just good copy. It's like no, it's all direct response.
Before we move on to the next question, I want to say I feel like this person wants us to like pull up and share screen of some great examples that are, some great copy that we're seeing right now on the internet. But that's not this kind of stream. If you are looking for us to break down copy and kind of get inside our heads while we do that for the folks on our Patreon. And so, every other week or so, we call them Whetstone Wednesdays. It's kind of a new name that we coined, but we get into copy submissions from actual patrons. We break it down. We talk about what we like, what's working, and what is not working. And in fact, this month, we are calling it officially the Copy Critique Month. So we're going to be getting on every week, I think we said, right, guys? And we're going to be doing a Whetstone Wednesday and calling for submissions. Man, maybe we shouldn't promise that. Alex might be uber sick by then.
Maybe.
But
or just not bothered.
Yeah, I mean,
or at the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Oh, come on, man.
Anyway, but we're committed to doing a bunch of critiquing this week. So if that is what this person is looking for, that's where it'll be.
She's having a stroke. Someone help her. Exactly. Anyway.
All right. Next question.
Yeah. All right. How long did it take you guys to get your first dollar out of copywriting? Ducks go quack. Man, 4 months, 6 months, something like that. Depends what you mean by first dollar. My first dollar was like, I think it was, I don't know, like $10 for a crappy content article or something like that, which was not enough to sustain me. That was after about 4 months. How long until I could live off of it? About a year and a half, probably, because I was one of those people who was extremely reluctant and didn't want to freelance and didn't want to make a fool of myself and thought I just had to read the next thing. I was also, working another full-time job at the time, but yeah, like from first hearing about copywriting to being able to make a living, it was about that long. Like I said earlier, I know other people who have done that in literally a month and a half. So yeah, and I'm sure Lindsay and Rod's answers will be different as well.
What about you, Rod?
Yeah. I think it was about, I guess I'll answer it in two parts. I think I got paid for the first time maybe 2 or so months in. And it was like a one-off kind of like advertorial thing.
Cool.
But it probably was like close to a year or so for me before it was like my sole income.
Yeah. Let's see. I first started learning about copywriting in 2013. I didn't make $1 from copywriting myself until 2016. I started in the editorial division of a company within Agora and was doing, primarily fulfillment. And then I I have always been kind of had an entrepreneurial itch and have tried to launch a number of businesses. And in 2016, I had been working within Agora for a while and was wanting to branch out and do something of my own. And I pitched a friend that we go into business together, and we did. And I wrote a website, wrote ads. So I wrote a landing page and wrote a bunch of ads, turned them on, and within a week, we started making money. We made over $6,000 in the first month. And we wrote a book about it, and you can actually get it through at our website. It's called No Man's Niche. And we went on to do a number of projects and similar ventures. And I think we have 3 or 4 case studies in that book now, which you can actually go and learn from. I love that idea because I think it's a great way for beginners to immediately start pitching clients and business people in their own neighborhoods. Go into business with them and start testing your copywriting skills immediately and start getting paid immediately. So again, that book is No Man's Niche, and you can get it at our website.
Is it also in the Patreon?
It is, yeah. If you're a Patreon member, you get it for free.
Yeah. So this is a good. We'll get back to the questions literally now, but like just quickly, we're not going to sell a course at the end of this or anything like that. But just so everyone does know, we mainly have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/copy-that-show. The reason we have Patreon is because a lot of people ask for more stuff, and bear in mind, this is not our full-time jobs. This isn't even like a job. This is a fun thing we do on the side. We all, Lindsay, Agora, classic direct response, everything. Rod, brand man, working with Nike. I got like blasted for saying Nike on the last video. So I'm sorry. I thought that was how you said it. Anyway, and I'm head of sales and marketing at Health Tech, and then do my own e-commerce businesses. So this is not our full-time thing. So we're not going to come out and sell like a massive course at the end of this. It's just if you do want more and you want the stuff that justifies us spending a bit more time on this, join the Patreon, because that's where we publish all the in-depth stuff. So yeah, patreon.com/the copy that show if you want some more of this. And a bunch of other stuff, like loads of masterclasses we've done, and the book Lindsay just mentioned, and like, I don't know, 100 hours worth of videos at this point, probably, that haven't been published elsewhere. My e-commerce course. There's a lot of shit. But the reason being is because we don't want to charge a ton of money. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Do you follow up a person when he doesn't respond to your emails? If so, how can you sum up a good follow-up email? So yes, absolutely. If this is about cold emailing, then, God, I could talk for hours about that. Again, actually on the Patreon, I have a masterclass exactly just about cold emailing and pitching people. But generally speaking, when you're thinking of emailing someone, you need to make it quite relevant to them. And it needs to be obvious it's not just come from an automated robot, because all business owners get those all the time. I think all 3 of us can speak from experience. Like, I get so many emails every week, they're obviously just machine generated. But actually, if you spend the time to talk about something that is extremely relevant and specific to them that only a human could write, because only a human would be able to look on their website and see that they have a weird looking like blue sofa on their cover image, or that it's them playing with their dog, that's going to grab their attention. So first thing is just make sure your first impression is strong from the outset. But even if someone doesn't respond to your emails, follow up with them. There is no best amount of time to wait. I think I would probably give people at least like a calendar week to reply if it's the first time I've ever reached out to them. And then, maybe do it weekly. There's a famous story, of course, about Kyle Milligan, one of the friends of the show, who just kept forwarding an email he had sent just with the word bump, I think every week or something like that. So there is no, good follow-up emails. I would say just make sure you're being specific and relevant. Don't just have the subject line be, hey, did you see this? Because guess what? There's probably a reason I didn't look at it the first time. Go back with something else that's relevant to them.
Yeah, make sure you have a reason for following up, not just a hey, just making sure you saw this.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
I did see it and I didn't respond. Yeah, like
yeah, and don't limit yourself to cold emails. Like if someone's not responding on email, try do they have a Facebook? Do they have LinkedIn? They have a phone number.
Insta.
My God, just call people. Instagram, yeah, it's something that is not as professional, but just saying, hey, really loved the thing that you had done here, or I watched you on the stream the other day. Really want to get in touch. Bang, like you're in slightly, or they might not respond. But the whole point is don't just give up after one. But also don't be an annoying. Can we swear on these?
Yeah.
Or we get demonetized. Don't be an annoying fuck and just like say the same thing over and over again. Unless it's bump and you're Carl Milligan, in which case, great, it works. But yeah, in some way, be following up. Okay. Yeah, Mark Mars says, quick question. I hate that with a passion. I remember when I started freelancing and I was told like, oh yeah, the best thing to do, like subject line templates. And it was like, name, quick question, question mark. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. Cause like they'll think that my God, now I'm in a position where I own businesses and I get pitched every other like day. That if I went in my email inbox and just typed in quick question, I guarantee I'd have about 400 emails that just say that. So I don't even give them the time of day. Anyway. Boop. I like it. I'm sure it was bump. I might be getting that wrong.
No, it's bump. I like boop though. Boop. It's great.
Okay. Nice.
Sorry, that made me laugh.
Next question. One of you guys want to take this one?
Where do you go? Where do you practice more copywriting, and how long does it take you to be good at it?
Practice. Okay, I'll combine this with a couple questions we got in chat, because I've also seen some variant of like, how do you literally copyright? What is the process? Like, where does it go? What programs do you use? When it comes to writing copy, you can write copy on anything that will allow you to type words. So most people use Microsoft Word or Google Docs even. So you don't even need to like purchase Microsoft Office. You can just use Google Docs for free. You can practice copywriting on your phone in like a note application if you really want. I think we all know at least multiple people who have gotten their copywriting career started from a cell phone because they didn't have a laptop. So in terms of like, where can you do this? What programs do you need? Literally anything that will allow you to type words, and then maybe an email program to then send them to somebody else. Obviously, don't send someone something with like no paragraphs, whatever. Be mindful of like what that looks like. But anything that lets you type words, you can use to practice copywriting. So when it comes to like, what do you practice? It kind of depends on where you're at in your career, what's like your sort of emphasis is or area of focus is at that point. At the beginning, I think we tend to emphasize thinking at least about sales letters because they tend to contain all of the components that end up being essential to understanding how copy works as a medium and the different sorts of points you need to stress to really master it. But if you find yourself just starting out and you're only really writing emails, just practice writing emails. If you're only writing Facebook ads, just practice writing Facebook ads. Really, whatever you need to be writing, just practice doing that thing because no matter what it is, it will contribute to you getting better little by little.
Boom. I think we covered it.
Yeah.
All right, next question. How can you sum up a good cold email? What are the main points you should put into the email to really get the guys to work with you? I think we probably covered that in the last one about emails.
Agree.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Next one. How do you tell/convince a team of marketing people who have more experience than me that they're doing it wrong when it comes to copy and pushing their brand online? Good question. Either of you guys want to take this? I have been in this position many times.
I'll take it. This is an interesting question. I think before you ask this question, though, a more important question that you need to ask yourself is, why does it matter that I fix things? Because this isn't really like a copy question. This is like a career and a political question. Like, the only reason you're asking this is because you don't feel like the way in which you're communicating these ideas is being received well. But to understand why it's not being received well, why you might not feel permission to ask it as directly as you may want to ask it, or say like, "Oh my God, you're fucking everything up," to your boss. It's because you understand that there's something deeper at play here. And so, I think as an employee in whatever job, not just copywriting, like you need to understand that like the incentives you have to do well are not necessarily the incentives your bosses have.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you do a really, really good job with a campaign, you blow it out of the water, and create really, really good results for yourself. You look really, really good. Your boss might then have pressure to replicate that every single month. And if you just got lucky, that then sets a bad precedent for your boss, who's then going to be in an awkward position with their boss potentially. And so they may benefit more from you just doing an above average job. You radically changing the shape of the way that campaigns are done or structured or organized then may necessitate that they create entirely new templates for every sort of project across multiple teams of people. And that's a ton of work that then needs to get vetted. It can be really risky to try new things. You may kind of like ruin your list if you try a radical new style of email and it bombs. And so oftentimes with these sorts of things, it's not just like, how do you convince them? It's, okay, how risky is it for them to take me up, this untested person, on this new idea, versus what do they stand to gain from it? Because if they personally aren't going to make much more money, or the business is going to do like that much better, or you can't prove to them that things will be that much better, then it may not be worth it for them, even if you are actually capable of delivering on the promises they're making.
I think you had so many good points there, Rod. I want to tell a story about when I first joined Agora. I came from a traditional journalism background, and this was like the first time that I had been working for a subscription company that was like as much marketing as they were like editorial. And, I'd come strictly from this like editorial field. And I remember I had been there maybe about a month, and I approached my boss, and I thought I just had like the best idea ever. And I was just like, I noticed on your guys' website, like you don't even have on the homepage a way for people to sign up with their email address. Like it's not intuitive for people. They just, if I go to the website, how do I sign up for the e-list? And like, I remember thinking, wow, here's this huge company. How could they make a mistake like this? And how great am I that I caught this? And I didn't understand at the time like how it actually worked, that they spent money to drive people to landing pages. And then those landing pages put people in a specific funnel. And actually they're like, the website and the context of all of these marketing efforts going on, it like is nothing and means nothing. And they could care less about having an amazing homepage, website. And so like, it took me a while to understand that there are a lot bigger things at play. And so I think like that was a big point that you made, Rod, that I wanted to follow up on with the story. A lot of times there are things happening that maybe you aren't like fully in tune with. And this person's full question was posted on the YouTube community post. So this person just joined a marketing team at the company as a dedicated copywriter who's been doing long form content writing for a long while. And then this person said, like, they see a lot of things that can be fixed. They try to fix them, but then they always seem to revert back when campaigns go live. And this person's asking, how do I make myself heard or considered in this situation? And, again, to Rod's point, I think one of the best things about direct response marketing and copywriting is oftentimes it's not a subjective thing. Like it's in the data, the success is in the data. And if you are able to, kind of carve out a test campaign or whatever and run it against the company's current control campaigns and yours do better, it's easy to make a case then that, maybe you're onto something. But usually in this instance, I don't know. Sometimes there could be just larger things at play that you aren't fully in with yet.
Can I just add one more thing, Alex, before you go?
Yeah.
I think what this boils down to, and Lindsay said this, but I think it gets to something even more simple, is that what we're talking about, even when we're talking about, okay, you've proven yourself through the objective success you've had with your campaign, is we're talking about building trust. It's not like they need to trust that you know what you're talking about.
Yes.
But there are ways to demonstrate or to kind of build trust even outside of just your copy and your results. Going to them and asking questions about the process, asking them about their incentives, asking them about what are they looking at beyond your individual campaign, demonstrating an interest in the success of things beyond just your narrow scope of work. Getting those insights from other people, one, gives you better context for how to ask better questions or make better requests in the future. But also it demonstrates to them that you care about more than just what's in it for you.
Absolutely.
And once they understand that, they'll be more willing to kind of give you a little bit more leeway. They'll understand more why it is that you're trying to change things, not just, for your convenience, but for the benefit of the company. And that then gives you the space to then, build deeper trust and eventually, hopefully, if your ideas are what the company needs, to implement the change you want to make. But it is a long journey.
I'll just give one thing, because I think both have given amazing advice there, but I don't want to spend too much longer on this question. But tried and tested formula, if you've decided, yes, I want to frame my ideas, is to basically say that what they're doing is really good, ask questions about like what they're doing and why they're doing it, and then say, do you think this would work if we did this? Don't come at them saying, hey, this is what's gonna work. Say, oh, would this work? Or like, what do you think about this? Ask for advice first on your idea before saying, hey, we should do it. Okay. When there are tons of product, yes.
Can we take a couple questions from chat really quick? Because I see a few quick ones.
Oh yeah. Shoot.
Okay, so first, Yuki asks, "Hey, I'm new to marketing, know nothing about copywriting. How can I develop copywriting skills and become better?" Quick answer. Go to.
Yeah. Rewind the video.
We answered this earlier, but you can go to copythatshow.com, where we have a free guide on how to get started with copywriting. It's 100% free. You don't have to sign up for anything. If you do want to sign up for anything, when you go to our website, you'll be prompted to join our email list. And if you sign up to that, you will be on the receiving end of like a 21-day email program where we just kind of teach you everything and walk you through some of our best content and videos that will hopefully set you up to succeed.
Awesome.
Cool.
Anything else from the chat?
Yeah. This is an interesting one. So Parth says, I'm closing a deal. The client wants to compensate with base plus 100% profit up to X dollars. I don't have a ton of insight into COGS. Should I push back and ask for percentage revenue? It's their first major gig for an info product.
I don't understand what that means.
I don't either.
Do you mean 100% profit up to X dollars? As in up to X dollars of revenue, you get the profit on that revenue?
So to me, it sounds like what they're saying is like they're going to get base pay, and then there's an incentive to sell up to. They will then be compensated up to, so like let's say they sell $5,000, they get 100% profit up to $3,000, and then anything past that amount the company gets to keep.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that, as in, there's a fixed revenue amount, and you'll get all the profit up to that revenue point. So I don't have a ton of insights into cost of goods sold. So should I pass back and ask them for a percentage of revenue? It depends. Do you know what the profit margin is? Because if it's great and you feel like you'd be happy with it, then go for it. Asking for a percentage of revenue, you have to understand, for a business is like a big thing.
It's tough.
Because that's all the money they're bringing in. So you could theoretically, as a marketer, decide to spend a lot more on budget or do tactics that are a bit riskier to like drive in big revenue while you're working on the campaign, and then they lose more money. I see you're talking in the chat, up to X dollars of total comp. I don't know what these words mean, but like I'm also just not very smart. So it's a new product. Basically, I would. Oh, you're saying you don't know what the profit is. It's a new product.
Yeah.
Depends how much do you trust the company, really. You need to decide, do you trust their judgment and that they'll compensate you well, or do you feel like, no, I need more of a guarantee? But also, if you don't even have an idea of what it is, then it's difficult for you to make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you've got a base, you got 100% profit up to an amount. Like you can't go more than that. And, it sounds like the company is willing to maybe take a risk here because they think that they're going to make more money. And so they're just going to cap you at a certain amount. And then that's it. I mean, I would kind of be more inclined to not be difficult here if it's your first major gig and just, accept it on a limited basis. And call it an investment, on your part into the relationship.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea.
And I think if you really want the guarantee of more money, but you don't actually have insight into like how the math is going to work on products sold, you could just ask for a higher flat rate and then mix the percentage profit thing and say like, hey, it's the first time I want this extra security. I'm willing to take a little bit less. So I wouldn't ask for up to X dollars, but maybe split the difference between like half of that or whatever and say, hey, just let's see how it goes. And then in the future, you'll have better insight as to how that percentage is going to work out for you. So,
All right, let's move to the Reddit again.
Yeah.
So we'll try and quick fire these as much as we can. When there are tons of products with the only difference being specs or industry standards, is there any way to stand out on SERPs? From Liftink. Now, my first question to that is going to be, are SERPs the best way to get traffic for the business? Do you know for a fact that's where the majority of traffic is coming from? Does that traffic even convert? Because it may be that why are you trying to spend time ranking on Google and making your Google listing stand out when actually 80% of your business comes from PPC, for example. So that's the first thing I would say. Just make sure there's a good reason for that before you spend a bunch of time and effort and money thinking about it. The second thing I would say about standing out when arguably there's no difference on the surface of products, there are always ways you can stand out. A phrase, as far as I know, that I have coined, that I mention is there's a USP in reality and there is a USP by perception. USP means unique selling point, which we actually have a banner for right there, so I'm going to use it. USP means unique selling or proposition. Unique selling proposition, but I say point because screw more syllables. If you've got a unique selling point where something is genuinely unique about your product, i.e. you make it with a different material or it's the only thing that can do a certain task, great, that's a real USP. But other USPs are just in the mind of the reader. So it's something that no one else is actually mentioning. So a USP by perception. Now, if everything on the surface is the same, it's the same specs, same industry standards, then you can discuss the stuff that your audience care about that maybe other Google pages aren't really considering. So they all might be listing the material it's made from, or they might be listing the length of it or whatever, or the international standard that it adheres to. None of them might be talking about how it's the best X for the kind of audience that you're going for. For example, you might not be, you might all be talking about how headphones have the newest like sound wave technology in them, but your listing may be the only one that says perfect for going to the gym, right? You're going to reach out to people like, oh yeah, that's our main audience. So that would be my quick fire answer to that.
Nice.
Happy?
Cool. Love it.
After reading many books on copywriting and taking up various courses, how do I know if I have the necessary skills for copywriting? In other words, how do I prove myself? Lindsay, how does RJ Abraham?
Yeah, I feel like we addressed this. I'm worried about you, RJ. You've been spending how much time reading all of these books and taking all these various courses. I would argue that you are ready and you have more than enough skills to start going out in the real world and practicing them for real with clients, for yourself if you would like. I think that anybody who, has been kind of at this studying for a while, so long as you've been kind of following this sort of material, like, we recommend or other credible copywriters recommend, I would say that you've done your time learning and in theory. And the necessary skills you have right now, you will only hone them doing copy in the real world.
Yeah, there's no need to prove yourself. The only thing you have to prove yourself to is the market, and the market is an untamed beast with many different faces. So what
and you will
works
just
for one
never
person,
know until you go.
exactly,
Yeah.
works one person might not work for anyone else. So yeah, go for it.
You got it.
Rod, anything to add?
I think you guys hit the nail on the head. Only thing I would add is that if you this is about reps at this point, you need to get your writing reps in, and if you don't quite feel comfortable to pitch clients, which you should do anyway, do it before you're comfortable. Spend some time on making some specs or doing some spec work, so you can always build up a portfolio of work.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a good formula for those just getting started.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
If you want to make copywriting and marketing your career, which is the best way to start? As an interim in an agency or as a freelancer? Now, I know that the three of us all came into copywriting differently. So there is no right answer for this. My opinion on this is it all depends on what you value most right now. Do you value flexibility in the sense of you want to be able to choose who your clients are, but also risk a lack of stability when you're trying to do that, and the worry that someone could drop you in a moment and then half your income is gone? Or do you value getting into somewhere that's a bit more stable so you can grow within that environment, but be potentially a bit more hamstrung and not be able to move as much as you would like to? In my opinion, outside of very specific environments, in-house environments that cultivate copywriters, i.e. Agora and the like, I think generally speaking, freelancing is going to give you the biggest growth. I think in-house gives you the most stability, and it depends what you want, especially in the beginning. I started freelancing. Now I'm in-house / business owning. Lindsay started in-house, right?
Yep.
Rod started freelancing. Sean, our other co-host, who is ill and in Japan, he was in-house. And I think we've all delved into like bits of freelancing and bits of the other. I mean, Rod, you're now in-house as well.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, that would be my, my kind of summary of that.
I have a new answer. Or so, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rod. Go.
I actually have a new answer to this now, because I just go with Alex's answer for that. But as a result of going in-house and now working, my current role is not as a copywriter, but I work with a lot of creatives and copywriters. I think another thing you need to think about, or it's worth thinking about, is like, where do you think you want to end up? Do you want to own your own business eventually? Do you want to just focus on writing copy because you like writing copy? Because the skills you develop working in-house and the skills you develop working in an agency are very, very different. As a freelancer, you're forced to think much more about how do businesses function, how do they operate, what are like the real revenue drivers, how does your copy exist in the world? And so it's much bigger picture. And so the copyright is like, you'll spend less time writing copy relative to the amount of time you spend like thinking about business stuff. If you're in-house, on the other hand, for the most part, you'll just get assignments handed to you. And so the only thing you have to think about is writing copy. And if you want to do that forever, that's great. There's plenty of room to grow there. But if you do then want to go freelance eventually, work your own schedule or whatever, you will then find yourself in a position where you're having to then catch up to learn those business skills. And so it's really a trade-off of like, do you want to just like get really good at copy? Do you want to be good at copy and have some business skills? And like, where do you see yourself in 5, 10, 15 years, ideally?
Yeah, you really have to look inward too. If you're the type of person that struggles with motivation, that has a hard time kind of staying focused on tasks, maybe, is not somebody who's like waking up eager, like, let's go, ready every day, then you might do better in-house, because you're going to need some mentorship and a team of people to look to learn faster. I don't know. I think going in-house for me was the best thing. I think I learned the fastest I could have by learning from people around me. But to your guys' point, like going in-house, while you may be handed tasks as a copywriter, you'll also be handed stuff that you don't want to do. Whereas if you are just a copywriter, a freelance copywriter, you get to, choose what you work on. When you're an employee, you kind of just have to do stuff sometimes that maybe you don't want to do, you're not excited about doing, and it may feel like a waste of time. There's also just, a lot of wasted time with coworkers and all of that stuff. And, you kind of got to participate in that. But I feel like going in-house for me definitely accelerated my learning curve, but I will say I was super aggressive about learning what I needed to learn and trying to get as close to the people who were making the money for the company. I tried to get as close as possible to those people and figure out what they were doing. And I was not seeing a whole lot of that happening around me with coworkers. So if you do go in-house, I think that's the fastest way to learn. But as a freelancer, like you can also do that with your clients. You can also try to, understand where the big money levers are in the business. You can be studying all that stuff by yourself too. It's just a little bit more difficult because you are not in their office every day, talking to people, forming relationships and learning directly. You kind of have to feel around and guess, and which can take more time.
Yeah. I think generally there's much more mentorship available in an agency setting or in-house setting, though not everyone chooses to pursue that mentorship.
All right.
Max asked a good corollary question.
Thanks, Alex.
What about someone who lives in a small town, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? You can still work in-house or at an agency remotely, especially in like our post-pandemic world. There are lots of people who hire. Like right now, I've been working remotely for like a month or so. I'm going to be working remotely for a bit longer before I relocate. It's not, there is a difference, I think, but most places these days are very open to hiring remotely. So if that's like if you want to go in-house, that's not available to you just because of your location.
I will say though, take a couple trips throughout the year to the office and spend a week there, and you will walk out a different person.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to bring this up? Because yes, Elijah, do separate landing pages.
Yeah.
Cool. That's done. All right. Then I don't even need to elaborate. I think you know why. But yeah. Okay, back to questions from Reddit. Where are we? We are there. Do you have any tips for finding the right contact information for businesses? I see a bunch of people talk about like Hunter.io, I think it is, and there's probably some other ones, like scraping emails. I've never really had a problem finding contact information for businesses. Like just Google the business, and then in the UK we have Companies House, which is like where every company is listed. I'm sure other countries have a very similar thing. It will tell you who the officers of that business are, and then you have their full names and addresses in some cases, and you can like just find them on social media from that way. Also, there are usually emails on the site. There's LinkedIn. There's always a customer service email if you just can't find anything else, and they will usually find their ways to the right kinds of people. Always go directly to the decision makers if you can, though. Yeah, that would really be my advice as far as that goes.
Cool.
Have I missed anything there? I don't think so. How much grammar and syntax should a copywriter be familiar with? Does he develop it on the fly? Good question. I think we all like writing. I honestly think most copywriters I have ever met, or aspiring copywriters, I should say, of which there have been, I don't know, 20,000 or so. Not an exaggeration, genuinely. I think of all the ones I've met, most of them are either in it because they heard it was a get-rich-quick scheme, or because they heard, or because they liked writing already. Mm-hmm. One of those two things. I think most people who make it did kind of like writing before, like tends to be in some way. Like I liked writing before, I liked reading before, but and yeah, I have a good grasp of grammar, but like I don't care as much about grammar as like Sean and I'm sure like Lindsay, and Rod. I'm pretty stupid when it comes to some things like punctuation inside or outside parentheses. I don't know. So like it's not a prerequisite to being really really amazing. With like that kind of technical stuff. I think you just need to be able to write in a way that is easily understandable. That's really it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think don't worry too much about like proper grammar. Think more so in terms of like how does the audience that you're writing for speak? Like if you're talking to a whole bunch of like teenagers, for example, you should be using slang. Your sentences don't need to like have everything in the perfect place if that's not how your audience speaks. If you're speaking to like a whole bunch of like old conservative white dudes, you probably don't want to be, I don't know, talking about how shit is cap. Probably don't do that. It's just a different cadence for your audiences, and so that's what you need to learn. The grammar itself doesn't matter. Just write how you speak.
Yeah, I just want to stress how secondary grammar and syntax is to copywriting things to know in general. It is just so much more important to study persuasion and how to, figure out how to learn conversationally and figure out how to talk to a target audience, figure out how to find out who your target audience is. Like those things are just so much more important than having immaculate grammar and syntax.
Awesome. I'm planning to start cold emailing prospective clients next week. Any advice for an effective strategy? I would say we probably covered that earlier on in the video. I don't want to repeat ourselves too much.
Yep.
Basically be relevant to them. We also have a bunch of videos about how to get clients that covers that as well.
I just, I don't know. Do people not do phone calls anymore? I just had so much more success
That's also a very good point.
Cold phoning than cold emailing. I know that's hard for a lot of people to pick up the phone and call, but I will say that cold emailing, once you do it long enough, if you're not getting responses, it can be very unmotivating. And if you find that you're just having no success and you're just feeling very unmotivated and feel like you're ready to give up and no, like just call somebody. I've had way more success doing that than emailing.
Yeah.
And also just pitching in person in real life. I've had a lot of opportunities just in, relationships that I happened to form today because we had something happening on our house or, because I was in a business meeting or whatever. It's all about just, I think, a relationship or the illusion of relationship, if you're doing it over email, that you want to lean into.
Yeah. Yep. 100% agree with that. How to solicit emotions through writing? That is a big question. It's like, I will say I'll use this as a chance to plug, I think, because I know that Lindsay and Sean have been working on something that was meant to be one masterclass, I believe has now turned into a ton of stuff and resources.
8 hours now.
But if I'm not mistaken, Lindsay is going to go into that kind of exact thing of just like how to write and what the purpose of copywriting is and how to solicit emotions.
Yeah, we'll give you a lot of tools about, everything about the general writing process, including syntax and proper syntax and grammar, and not the kind where like we're going to give you a whole like English class about it, but just like the stuff you need to know to do copywriting. I think one of the biggest tools for soliciting emotions through writing, we call, and we talk about this in our upcoming masterclass about how to write more gooder, is use show, don't tell. And an example of that is that we use in finance a lot is You know, thinking back to the Great Recession, I could tell you that the stock market fell and it was terrible. Or I could take you through a story of what it was like to be on Wall Street, the day the market crashed, and give you a specific percentage and, really tell you a story from on the ground. For example, imagine I was, somebody who had boots on the ground. So showing someone will evoke a lot more emotion as opposed to just telling them a thing, as just like a cold hard fact and then moving on.
I think I was talking about this today actually. The biggest thing I say for this is meet the reader where they are already. Like, what are they already thinking about in their mind? It's very difficult to just create emotion out of thin air like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always something that they're worrying about or they already want. One of the products I sell, which is a software to pharmacists, no pharmacist wakes up in the morning and thinks, man, I really want to implement a new software today. Like, that's not what they're doing. They are waking up and they're saying, God, how on earth are we going to dispense all of these prescriptions with such limited staff? Or like, God, I hope another angry person doesn't come in shouting at me because they didn't get the right medicine. Or, man, how are we going to make sure we survive as a business into next year? Those are the things they wake up worrying about. So if I'm selling a software, I can either, and this is what most people do, this is what most companies do, they will go to them and they'll say, we have the best software for streamlining your business and making you more money and making your life easier. Which, yeah, on the surface, it seems like those things are solving it. But if instead I go to them and I say, imagine knowing that you wouldn't have any locum problems for the next 6 months, or what would it be like if you woke up tomorrow and every patient that came in through the pharmacy doors was happy and delighted to see you, right? Like, that actually strikes at the core of the thing they're worrying about. And that's what elicits emotion in someone. But also, that's a very broad topic, and go and watch other videos about copywriting that we've done. My 5-hour video is probably not a bad one to watch about that, because I go into how people make decisions and how to write emotionally and all that kind of stuff. So good. Hope that helped.
Great.
Someone just said, will this stream be listed on your channel later? There's a lot of good info being shared. First of all, thank you, Hologram. Second of all, yes, it will be. If you go to our channel and then you go to the live tab, it will be there. So all of our live streams are stored there. So yes, this will be available. Okay, next. My question is, does personality-driven emails work well for e-commerce businesses like clothing and similar physical products? I don't know what a personality-driven email is. I'm going to assume that means like talking as if you are an individual person, like, I'm guessing, or maybe you mean in a particular style. Medical Warrior, if you're in the chat right now, please elaborate. But basically, I'll answer this because I do a lot for ecom. Yes, the stuff that works in other businesses works in ecom as well, basically all the time. I've done quite a few videos on e-commerce copywriting. Did a recent one on Kyle Milligan's for his group.
What are some examples of this in e-commerce, Alex? Is it like a letter from the owner, a letter from the designer? A letter.
I don't know. That's what I mean. I'm not sure what they're saying. If they mean like, is it a person saying it? Then yeah, like you can absolutely do messages from individuals within the business. One, in fact, a very poignant one I can remember because I'm doing it right now is back there. There are like 2 boxes there and there, and there's one down there. There's all beef jerky in them because that's one of the things that I sell. I know I mentioned beef jerky so much, but it's one of the things on my mind at the moment. One of the things we do for that is in the welcome sequence for when people buy that product is a personal message from the founder of the business, who's a South African whose family had been making biltong for generations, just saying about like, look, this is the family recipe and it hasn't changed, and this is why it's crazy, and we're the only ones doing this, and we'll occasionally bring that character back to do more emails like in the future because they've already been introduced to them. And then it's like, oh, we've just done this, or it just seems a lot more personable because you can then say stuff like, we've only got one pallet of this left, but we're going to give it away at 30% because it goes out next month. So if you want it, there's an offer on. That's an easy character that you can trust. So yes, I'm going to say that.
Awesome.
Right. Can I make money from copywriting with my university? A girl knows no name.
Probably not.
What do you guys think?
Yeah. It's impossible.
Yeah. Oh, no.
What do they mean? How are you guys interpreting this?
Yeah. Do you mean like from university or like as with your uni as a client?
Yeah, I'm taking this as this person is in university and they want to pitch their university so that they can get paid from their copywriting efforts, right? Is that how you guys took it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I would say absolutely. Your university likely has an alumni database. They probably send them a newsletter. I would come up with an idea for a campaign to raise donation funds from alumni. I get letters like this all of the time from my university, who I paid a lot of money for my education. Even after I was out of school, had a lot of debt. And even before I paid off that debt, I was getting letters asking for more money for donations. So I think that's somewhere where you could start, is going to your alumni organization and coming up with a campaign to solicit funds from your alumni. I think another thing that you could do, if it's an online program, which a lot of universities offer nowadays, I think you could also approach the department that runs the online education and see if you can do something there. I think there are a lot of opportunities within the context of a university that you could pitch. And I think your advantage, if you are a student who is learning and who is doing marketing, is that a lot of people, when you're a university student who's, eager and showing that you're willing to work for free to learn, they're willing to kind of sit down with you and take on your ideas and test it out. That would be my answer.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a good answer.
Should we take a few from the live chat now? Rod,
Yeah.
I can't actually see the live chat, so I have no idea what's being said.
Oh, yes.
I can only see the banners because I've got the banners on my thing.
You can just click to the comments tab above and you can see it, and the banners will stay.
Yeah, but like my microphone's in the way of that bit of the screen, so I can't see. And Rod, don't ask me to do
okay, no, I got you. There were some good questions. So, Parth asks, "What's one question that we're tired of answering?" And this is my opportunity. I am tired. I'm sick and tired of you people. Yes, you person right now, asking, "Are you ready to start copywriting? When am I ready to start copywriting?" You've been ready. Go.
You've been ready.
Write some copies.
You will never feel ready.
Yeah. And then like very seriously.
Yeah.
It is much you learn by doing. I am a big reader. I'm a big preparer. No amount of me reading, studying, preparing really truly prepared me for the work that I have done across my copywriting career. The truly valuable lessons I've learned always doing a job, working with a client, responding to a client, putting out a fire. And so before you feel ready, just start doing, because you're good enough already to start doing. So please stop asking, because you asking is just procrastination. If you have to ask, start doing.
Yeah, I think on a serious note, like genuinely, I know we say that in a bit of jest, but like I don't get tired of answering any questions, because we were all new at one point, and I asked these questions, and like Rod's just a big meanie. So you guys keep asking questions all you want. We will try and get through them. And in that spirit, maybe we should just go through all of the live chat now, but speed it, like literally 1-sentence answers, just so, because you guys were late and you didn't give your questions in the last 2 days when we've been asking for questions, but we're still going to treat you a little bit. We're just not going to do it in depth because, that's crazy. We'll do another one this week. Okay, go.
I want to answer this one. So Copywriting with Cody asks, do you need tips on capturing someone else's voice? I really struggle with that. I mean, yes, I can use common phrases they use, but how can I sound like them? It's more than that. This is a really, really good question because it is very hard, especially like over text, to like read someone's copy, read some stuff that they've written about themselves and really get a sense. The best advice I can give you is just to get the person on a phone call for 5 minutes.
Yes.
You don't even have to talk about the thing. Just hear them, like how they speak, get them talking, saying words to you, and that will give you a sense of personality. That will give you a sense of like the types of words they use, when they pause, their cadence, and even if they don't talk about like the actual project itself, you can often just like paste that onto the stuff you want to say, and it will sound way, way, way more compelling.
Okay, that was more than one sentence, but I'm going to let you off the hook because I did like that question. All right, go. Next one. Boom, Rod, let's go. One sentence each. Lindsay's answering the next one. I don't even know what it is.
Oh, God.
Question for Jamie Dornan, which I think is referencing you.
It's the second time that's happened on stream. Like, I kind of appreciate it, I think, but also, really? Carry on.
What tips do you have for when your proposal gets, I think, no response? Here's what they meant to say. I tend to get ghosted a lot. Do you know why this could be? They're probably talking about Upwork, but we could generalize this to like any sort of cold outreach. What do you do when you don't get a response?
I mean, if you don't get a response, then I think rewind and go back to the thing I said about cold emailing. But if you're losing them at like the interview stage, then I would recommend going and watching Rod's Upwork masterclass, which is fantastic. Which was that on YouTube or was that on the Patreon? I can't remember.
I think it's on the Patreon.
Let's say it's on the Patreon because then we get some money. But that, and then also go and watch a YouTube video on our channel called, what is it called? How to sell your services as a copywriter, I think is what it's called, or selling your services as a copywriter. I believe it's like maybe our second or third most viewed video. So go and watch that because that's where a very good friend of mine, Jonathan, who is probably one of the best salespeople I've ever met, he speaks about how to engage with someone on that kind of interview stage and move them into your frame of thinking. So that's what I'd recommend for that. That was also more than one sentence. Shit, this is hard.
Sorry, one last sentence. Our friend Warren West also did a masterclass for us recently.
Yes, he did.
Specifically on pitching on Upwork and Upwork proposals and stuff like that, which is also on our Patreon. You can check out.
Love it.
Awesome. All right, next.
Next question.
Is it better to practice a form of copywriting in a niche and then expand?
Go and watch the Copywriting 101 video on our YouTube channel, which is called What's the Best Niche? Or something with niche in the title. That will answer your question.
Next. When I finish writing, I always think it's great, but then that's not a good way of critiquing myself. What do I do?
Hang on, because in June, we are going to have at least 5 hours of material for you on how to self-critique and work through your own copy to make yourself better instantaneously. Sean and I have put together our wrapping up our masterclass on how to write copy, all the things, how to be awesome at copy. And but a big benefit of it is self-critiquing. So stay tuned for that.
And in the meantime, go to our Discord server, which should be in the description, or go to the Copywriting Collective, and there are community critique channels where you can post your copy and just have someone else critique it. Because why do the work yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Just quick, Osmantic says, what's the video called with Jonathan for the interviews? Sorry, I can't seem to find it. Something like sell your services as a copywriter. If you go to our channel, go to videos and do most popular, it's in the top like 3 or 4 or 5.
How can you find a mentor, Alex, that would help you learn copy further?
You can pay for mentors, but I don't know the efficacy of all of them. We actually stopped offering mentorship because it is a lot of work and time that we couldn't invest in it. But generally speaking, if you go in-house at a good agency, you can find someone who will mentor you in copy. That's probably the best way. But also, streams like this are the next best thing. Asking about situations, talking in copywriting communities where people are in a similar position and there are more experienced people. That's probably the best thing. But outside of paying for a mentor, it might be quite difficult to get one unless you go in-house, because people obviously have their own lives and can't spend time mentoring. All right. How many more have they in the live chat? Should we go back to Reddit now? I want to balance the early birds with
Hold on a second. We're just getting on.
pleasing viewers. Cool.
Lindsay, do you have thoughts on this one?
I appreciate the wealth of information you provide. I want to ask, are there any opportunities to optimize my blog for search engine optimization without compromising the quality of the writing? So we are a copywriting channel and group. We are not a search engine optimization group, but we do have videos for you on why we chose to be that way and why we made the conscious decision to not do search engine optimization. If you go to our channel on YouTube and you search for SEO, you can find our thoughts on it. But if we're feeling generous, do you guys have any very fast thoughts for how someone can optimize their blog?
Kind of. Do you need to optimize it? Number one, ask yourself that question, like, is it worthwhile? Two, there's plenty of on-page SEO stuff you can do. Make sure you just get a plugin as well, like Yoast. That's kind of enough. Without compromising the quality of the writing, you should always be writing for an audience first and foremost, not worrying about SEO is my...
Yeah, absolutely. We just published a video about this, right?
I had a rant on one of the videos about it, I think.
Yeah.
About like if it's useful or not for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to Reddit because those people.
One last question. One last question.
Oh my God, Rod, you're pissing
It's
off
literally this is the easiest question ever.
It's just getting angrier and angrier as it goes
This one, okay. Hey folks, thanks for the value you provide. You're welcome. Can I use specs as part of my portfolio on Upwork? Yes, please
Absolutely.
do. If you don't have any work experience, use your spec pieces as in your portfolio. Gradually phase them out, but like, yes, please do that.
Can we answer Abood because he said please answer me, and that's the only time I'm ever doing that. Hi, I'm willing to start in 2 months. I'm 16 years old, so I went to ask if there's how much time it would take me to reach 10K milestone if I was truly serious about it. Could take you 2 months, could take you 2 years. Completely depends on the path you take. Many videos about this, but it's not guaranteed. And if I'm being completely honest, if you're only 16, reaching the 10K milestone may take a little while because a lot of companies and freelance clients will only hire 18-year-olds. But yeah, we're not going to bullshit you here. So hope that helps. But don't give up because, you know, it does work to a degree.
And if you're starting at 16, you have an advantage because by the time you get to a point where clients will take you on.
Cool. All right, back to Reddit. Otherwise, I'm gonna end the stream if we don't do that.
All right. You're driving the Reddit questions.
Oh shit, that's me. I wasn't even ready.
Drop the ball.
I'll drop your balls in a minute, mate. Yeah, all right.
Feisty.
We did that. Did we do that? What are the questions I should ask? Okay, we didn't do that.
What are the questions I should ask my client in order to write emails in her voice? And how do I extract the stories I need to write personally driven emails from them?
Oh God, I used to have a massive sheet of questions to ask clients. I think that's on the Patreon actually.
How do we get that sheet? Patreon?
You can go to patreon.com/the Copy That Show. You can get that sheet. But yeah, no, that was one we developed for my first agency with Jonathan, actually. But in effect, ask questions like, why did you start this business? What pains do you recognize in your audience? What was the proudest moment you had in your career? What was the biggest failure you had to move past to get to this point? Questions like that, where they can go on tangents and they can develop, and there's quite emotional and personal, really good way to bring out those kinds of things. So hopefully that helps.
Great. How do I reignite my passion and keep moving forward? I think, there was a similar question. Someone who's just
burnout kind of thing.
Burnt out, hitting that, what do they call it? The Trav disillusionment, where basically you've got, you were so eager getting into this, your enthusiasm peaked, and now you've hit reality and you realize it's just way harder than you thought it was going to be. And you're feeling like you don't know if you're cut out for it, if you can do it. how do you reignite your passion and move forward?
I mean, I think some people probably just have a natural passion. They don't even need to tend it. I, for one, was always focusing on a process rather than like, I still had goals and I had things I wanted to do, but I was focusing more on, right, I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to do this no matter what. It's like not even negotiable. I just do it. It's just my thing. I can't answer exactly how I did that or why I did it, but I do think motivation is the wrong thing to fall back on. I think you should fall back on discipline and you should fall back on a routine, which is going to take a few weeks, even a couple months to establish. But once you're there, it then becomes far more rewarding, it becomes far easier. And you want to know something a bit gay that I did that really helped my passion is like get a role model. And it doesn't have to be a copywriting role model. It can be a fictional role model. It can be a historical role model. Someone that you go like, God damn, they kept pushing forward. Like they kept doing it in all of this frustration, the eyes of like horrible things they had to face. So, whether that's, like, I don't know, Ralph Hopton of the English Civil War, which no one knows who that is, or if it's, Rogel Dawn, the Primarch of the Imperial Fists, right? Just like have someone who is yes, damn right, that's a Warhammer reference, Rod. Get someone who is like, God, I want to do that because they were cool. That's a really gay thing that helped me out when I was like not sure about things. So there you go. That's a bit of a realism there.
Alex, you're only allowed to say that because you are actually gay.
I can.
We would have had to cancel you if you aren't.
That's right.
Oh, it's that a bad thing? God, that was like an insult in school. But anyway, let's not get into that. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I mean.
Got people in the comments saying like that's not gay at all. Yeah, I probably should stop using that word. It's bad, but it's just in there now.
I wonder if what stage of the process the mug boy is in. Because I think if you're in any stage of beginning, intermediate, there's nothing like a good like copy success and making money to reignite your passion and to keep moving forward. But if like you are just in the learning trial of disillusionment and feeling like you're never going to get out of that, like again, just go out in the real world and start doing copy and try to sell a thing and try to make $1, because even if it's just $1, the second you make your first $1 from copywriting, I think that you'll very quickly get excited and find new motivation for moving forward.
Yeah, I very much agree with what Alex said about like discipline and routine in terms of like, I think that's the best thing to have to just make sure you keep moving forward because that obviously will not sustain you in the long run if that passion piece is not there. And so I think Parth just said this in chat, but for me, if you find yourself in a place where you aren't motivated, trying to recenter yourself around a why of why you're doing this work, I think can be really, really helpful. Obviously, for most people, and I was this way, like when you start, it's very much about like, I need to be able to feed myself. And so you work, and you gradually get to a point where okay, you can pay the bills, okay, you're fine, and you're just kind of coasting. But if you're just coasting and you're like maybe slowly making more money, whatever, it's not super inspiring. There's no big dopamine hit of like, oh my God, I did it anymore. And so taking a second to breathe and be like, okay, well, what am I really working for now? Why should I still push myself to work harder? Is there a new financial goal I have? Is there a new thing I want to buy myself? Will making X many dollars more per month mean that I can do Y different thing in the future? Is there like a cool position at a cool company that I want to build a portfolio to work towards? Figuring out like what direction you want to go for will literally give you a sense of direction and will help motivate you to keep pushing and want to keep pushing in the long run.
Great.
Nice. All right. Next. Oh no, we've doubled up. Sorry, who that was. Dan Kennedy. The Canadian Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy said, don't make me laugh, Lindsay, because you laughing makes me laugh. All right. Dan Kennedy, it's too early to start having a laugh. Right. Dan Kennedy said, copywriter, FFS, for fuck's sake. Call yourself consultants. They'll still be doing the same work, but be able to charge more money. When can I position myself as a consultant? Interesting. Now, I think there's a good point to this question, a good underlying point, which is that a lot of businesses, most businesses, do not know what a copywriter is. It depends what path you take, of course, but like for me, I was taking a freelance path that, you know, whenever you'd say copywriter, they'd go like, but I don't need a trademark. It was literally that conversation. I've had that conversation more than a few times. And I think that the moment you have to explain what you do and you have to boil it down to, no, I just do words, that it immediately becomes less valuable. Even though you're being told that being a copywriter is amazing and like you can earn millions of dollars and all this stuff, like to normal people, they don't see the value in just words.
Yeah.
The moment you break out of that and you say, I can help you make more money, or I'm a marketing consultant. Exactly. Like I now position myself when I'm talking to people, or if someone approaches me and says, you know, like, oh, can you do this for me? I don't say I'm a copywriter, I say I'm a marketing consultant. Because there is an immediate perception there of, they're going to do a lot more for me. They know exactly what they're talking about. And it's a term that I know that's professional. So I think there's actually a lot of truck in that question. When can you position yourself as one? Like now?
Yeah, I don't like, there's not an exam you have to pass to get a license to be a consultant. You can be a consultant at any point. And I think you will naturally feel when you're ready relative to, you know, your relationship with your clients and how much you know that you can offer them, you know. And I think at any point you feel ready to call yourself a consultant. If you feel you're ready to call yourself a copywriter, you certainly are ready to call yourself a consultant, a marketing consultant.
Yeah. Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Once we finish our first, hopefully successful gig, what's next? What is the best next way to use that work as proof of results and increase our chances of finding our next client?
Good question.
Rod?
Well, what's next is you get your next job.
I have a question for you.
Obviously,
do you take your successful effort and do you pitch your client's competition?
Ooh, morally gray area. See, have I ever done that? I have, but not like maliciously and not like not purposefully. It's been more like, oh, I've done this for these guys.
Yep.
I can probably do it for you too, but not. Yeah. I don't think that was really direct of me going, oh, I'm going to go and do this. It just happened that I'd met them through some means.
100%. And just because you're writing for the competitor doesn't mean that you're in conflict with your former client. I get a lot of emails from people who just wrapped up a project for my competitor and they're interested to know if we want the same. I think it's a good approach because it's immediate credibility. Oh, my competition worked with these people and it was a success. Now I'm more open to talking to this person.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the word competition too is like, what does that even mean in 2023? Especially if you're working with like an online business, they're going to have thousands of competitors across the internet. And so it's not the scandalous betrayal type thing that maybe it was if you were like walking across the street to go to the competitor grocery store to, help them with their advertising. And so, but I absolutely agree with what you guys are saying. Take the experience you have, walk over, metaphorically to that other business, be like, hey, I'm a copywriter who specializes or who has lots of experience working with whatever the fuck their type of business is. Are you interested? Do you need some work done? It's that easy. Now you have credibility because you can say that you have literally worked with the competition.
I think also in a more general sense, just highlighting what the most impactful thing you did was. If you're going to talk to anyone, find the percentages that look good, dimensionalize those into they were at this, now they're at this, or just 2 months of work and we doubled sales, et cetera, et cetera. Find those big kind of highlight pieces that you can then plaster over your next email, or you can pull out of your hat when someone asks, what have you done? It's good to have those, flashcards, if you like, for your own credibility. What is your favorite part of the copywriting process, guys? I love this question because you know what? This
Great
question is like, one, it's just interesting, but two, you're asking us our opinion on something rather than asking what can you do. So I like that.
I like
Thanks,
that.
Never been
Renee.
asked that before.
No, neither have I. And
I can tell you, and it's similar to a question that we got in comments from Monk 8090. How do you know when you're done researching for a copywriting project? I think the favorite part of the copywriting process for me is when James Altucher kind of coined this phrase called idea sex. And it is when you are researching and in your mind subconsciously, you've read so much, you've ingested so much information that now you are starting to make mental connections and kind of connect dots on a story that is unfolding as a result from your research, right? So basically it is that point where you get to something and you just go, holy shit, this idea is amazing. And you just feel so excited by this idea that you've uncovered that you just can't help but sit down and just start writing about it. And you want to tell everybody you know about how awesome this idea is that you uncovered. For me, that's, I think, one of the best parts about the copywriting process.
I know. See, I do know what mine is. I want to say, and I think what I've always said, what I would publicly say if I was asked this question would probably be, which I know I am publicly being asked this question, but I would probably want to say is research, because I do really love research and it's very fun and I've spent a lot of time doing it. But actually, like guiltily, my favorite part of the copywriting process is what I call the blitz draft. And that's a specific part of my process that I think I've coined, but like I'm sure many copywriters do this. I love when I kind of have my idea, I've got a rough plan of like what I'm going to write. I just do what I call a spit draft, which is, I'm going to kind of say this, and I'm going to kind of say that, like what I'm going to say. The blitz draft is the next step where I'm just like, right, I'm just going to turn these ideas and this thing I want to do just into copy, and I will just sit there and I will write. And I will sometimes edit as I go and I'll be a bit meticulous, but other times I will just kind of go for like, 40 minutes just writing and like, and I just let myself go free. I'm not even looking at it with a critical eye yet. I'll do it while I'm writing. I'll be critical about what I've just written, but I won't like take a step back because that's what I've done before it. I love like just being in the weeds and just writing a load of stuff because it's like you're carving out a big block of marble. And then the editing and stuff is then chiseling away and making it into it. But I love like having the sledgehammer and just cracking that into a block in the first place. That is my favorite part of the process.
Do you experience, before you do your blitz draft, do you experience something kind of like what I just described, where you just get to a point where you feel moved to start putting things down on paper as a result of like connecting all these dots, and all of a sudden it's like this key just unlocked in your brain and you're like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then you just like start going.
I always have a fodder doc open. So I always have a document called copy fodder, like for whatever piece it is, where I'll just, both when I'm researching and when I'm, planning, I will just go in there and just smash out like a bit of copy about this specific thing. Recently, a page I was writing about the software I was talking about earlier for pharmacies, I just kept seeing this phrase come up and up again, which is future-proof. Pharmacists at the moment are obsessed with future-proofing their business because they very much view it as like there's a big change coming, and like they all are using this phrase. And I was like, God, no one is using this phrase to sell to them. And I was like, God, okay, future-proof farms. And then I just fucking mashed that and like another idea. And I was like, I have to write something about future-proofing here. Like I have to write a headline complex that just strikes at that because so many people are talking about it. And I just went and just wrote one and then came back to it a couple of days later when I needed it. And now that's kind of, one of the main messages that we put forward. So yeah, like agree with that, Lindsay.
Yeah.
What about you, Rod?
Yeah,
favorite part of the process?
I'm earlier in the process. I enjoy breaking my clients. It's like, like I don't know how much you've experienced this, Lindsay, but like Alex, I'm sure you've experienced this. Where like you're a freelancer, you don't really know the person, you kind of like get through the initial pitching. Okay, let's hop on a call thing, and you get on that call, and there is like a certain relatively high percentage of clients who get on there, and they talk to you about their business, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're game changing.
They tell you the things they think that you want to know." Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like all this like jargon,
Yeah.
and it's all so vacuous and means nothing.
And you're like, what was your childhood like?
Yeah, no, like, literally, and you're like, okay, so why are we here? And they're like, well, yeah, I want a landing page. Like, no. Like, what had to happen in the universe for you to get to this place where you were talking to me? And like, you know, not actually doing therapy, but like really like deeply going into like, okay, like why do you care about this? Like you're selling this product, but like why do you think this is gonna help people? Like why do you have to do this? Why can't you go work for that other guy? And like really deep, like digging into those deeper whys about like why are they passionate? Why do they care? Why does it matter that they do this? Because you get on the call the first time and it's like, so, you know, like,
yeah, I can imagine how those calls go with you, Rod. And then like 30 minutes in, they're like, yeah, and then we took this vacation to Yellowstone, and and it's like,
so I do definitely agree with that. I mean, it's even shown in the way we answer questions we get here. Like people ask a question, and so often we'll respond with another question, or just be like, well, why are you asking that in the first place? Like, let's take a step back. What's led you to even ask this?
Yeah.
So yeah, like what you're saying, right? It's like, so why do you feel like you need an updated homepage?
Yeah.
Just shit like that. And they'll be like, well, because that's what you do. That's what we do. That's what businesses do. It's like, well, have you ever thought about directing your ads here? And they go like, okay. And then you explain the reasoning and they go like, that's wow. Like we didn't think of it like that. So yeah, I do agree with that as well.
Yeah. That's fun.
But, yeah.
Just like quick timeout really quick. The difference between what I said and what Alex said right now is why I am not like actively in like sales currently, because I describe being like reveling in the torment of breaking down someone's, you know, life story. Alex just talked about how you actually sell more and get bigger projects and provide value for people. I'm just there for fun.
That's why we're the yin and yang. That's why you're working with Nike.
Right.
And I'm working with pharmacists. Okay. All right. Okay. That was a good question. I like that.
Good question.
How do you know you were good enough to start charging clients? I feel we have covered this enough.
I swear to God, Monk.
Yeah, and this God hates this question.
Leave the stream now. Go pitch somebody. I don't care who it is.
If you're doing them work, you're good enough to charge money for it. Okay, so don't worry. All right. What is the best niche what niche is best to join? Is personal development a good niche? And how can I start writing for local businesses and e-com stores? Okay, so we knew we were going to get this question at some point. I will refer you to my old answer, which is go and look at the niche video we have on the channel. But long story short is there is no one best niche. There are many, many niches where you can make a lot of money. That in the hundreds, absolutely in the hundreds of them. Gardening supply. Boom. There you go. Go right for that niche. Main point is you don't need to niche down because there are so many opportunities all over. You just need to get good at copywriting and selling yourself as a copywriter, and you can sell to anyone. A phrase I use a lot is only niche down when you've chosen your target. What I mean by that is when there's a job available or you see something, you go, that might be quite interesting. Or like, oh, I kind of like the sound of that. Then niche down. Then be like, okay, let's research that market for a few hours. And then guess what? You've researched a niche and you just have that knowledge there forever, basically. Do spec pieces that are related to that niche and relevant to the person you're pitching to. Personal development, is it a good niche? Yep, it's a good niche. It's a good niche for some people. For other people, it's not a good niche. How can I start writing for local businesses and e-commerce stores? Very different questions. Local businesses, again, I'll plug the patreon.com/the Copy That Show, because as Lindsay mentioned earlier, we have a book called No Man's Niche, which basically goes into that exact, not even just the copywriting, but the full identifying, finding, pitching, demonstrating strategy, copy, all the way through
setting
to
up your
getting paid.
ads, setting up your homepage, everything.
So like that's a great way to start writing for local businesses. But also I have described previously ways to go and write for local businesses, which is just to pick up the phone and say, hey, I noticed this ad that you're running. Would love to have a crack at it and see if I can make you some more money. Or, hey, I use your shop like every week. I love it so much. I think you could be doing even more business in this area. Would you like some help with that, etc.
Yep.
E-com store, same thing. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to skim through some of these. If you guys want to take,
it's 4:45. We got 15 minutes, so let's.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Right.
Recently, you posted and discussed about content marketing and SEO. Does copywriting no longer pay off?
No, it absolutely does pay. That's why we have time to sit here and do these non-profitable streams.
Yeah.
Unless you join the Patreon.
Okay. Let me comment on that really quickly, though. But the reason we also talk about things like content marketing and SEO is because there often is a lot of overlap. And so many people who start off copywriting will often dabble in things like content writing, or they'll come from a content writing background. And so we feel like it's important for us to at least give our take on those things, because there is a lot of copywriting advice that will help you do those things better. And if you're trying to make the transition, it's helpful for you to kind of like hear some of the stuff.
Or get your foot in the door. I mean, a lot of businesses think that they need content marketing and SEO, when in fact they need copywriting. And so if you could do content writing, this is a way to get in with businesses. Yeah.
Awesome. Should you... Oh my God. I'm doing it. I'm in charge.
You're the driver. You're in charge, Alex.
Oh shit, I pressed the wrong one. I shouldn't be. Should you use an alias if you're a non-English copywriter when trying to get an English client? I don't think you should, because you will probably have to get on a call with them. And if you've called yourself like Jonathan Smith, and it's very obvious that you were born and raised in Uganda, like there could be a immediate like, oh, I'm not sure if I trust you anymore. But I don't really have an opinion, because I'm not a non-English copywriter and I don't know all the intricacies of being one. So
you could test it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't lie, but
yeah, I wouldn't lie necessarily.
Yeah, I would say no also. But there's like one exception. And I think if your first name is hard for English speakers to pronounce, it can be useful to like shorten it, or go with like a nickname or something you're comfortable being called.
Absolutely.
Just because like if I am like, it will be embarrassing for me if we get on a call and I try to say your name and I feel like I'm fucking it up tremendously. And so either going with a nickname that's shorter or whatever, or preferencing a call like, hey, this is how you pronounce my name or whatever, being gracious about that and not offended when someone fucks up your name, that can go a long way. I feel very strongly that like, you should be able to use the name you have and feel proud about that. And there are so many people in the world who will hire you regardless of what your name is. Like, don't feel like you need to be literally a different person for the sake of getting work.
Awesome. How long does it take for a small copywriter to take off on YouTube or any social media platform? Guys, how long did it take for Copy That to take off on social media or YouTube?
We'll tell you when we do it.
Oh, that's so mean. Oh, that's so belittling to ourselves. God, I know a year, but like was our experience. I'm sure some have done it quicker, so it depends. Is it possible to get an in-house position with little experience? How would someone go about doing that? Lindsay, you had the most experience in-house. Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. I have seen people who have come straight out of college and get jobs in-house as a copywriter. I think that if you spend a month digesting Copy That material, you will have more than enough experience and knowledge to go impress a big firm who would take you on in-house.
Perfect. How many storytelling emails are normal for both e-com stores and direct response type emails, daily or once a week or XYZ? Okay, so first of all, direct response and e-commerce are not like different things necessarily. They're not mutually exclusive. We spoke about direct response earlier. You can rewind and say it. Normal completely depends on the e-com store. The majority of e-com emails are more around offers. The majority of the time, seasonal offers, product demonstrations, new product launches, typically. So not a ton. So it's not like normal, I'd say, for e-com stores do a ton of storytelling. Yeah, there is no normal in that. It just whatever works best. Cool. How how do you get your first few clients on Upwork and give you a job? Please go in detail from how your profile should look like to the text of the actual text to write them. Rod, you have done this. Where can they find an Upwork thing?
Patreon. I think we did that on Patreon. We've also talked about it probably in a number of other videos that are on YouTube. I don't know them off the top of my head. We've probably talked about it. Long story short, make your job title like something that stands out. Don't be weird.
Cool. There we go. And be relevant. We've spoken a lot about this, and go and have a look through all our pitching things because it's very samey. And we've done, probably stuff about Upwork on the YouTube channel as well. How to consistently get good clients or clients in general. Again, I think we've probably touched on this enough in this stream, but also please go through our 101 stream you can find on the YouTube channel. Go to copythatshow.com/how to start copywriting for a completely free guide. Sign up to our email list to get a very structured 21-day sequence that takes you step by step so you don't get overwhelmed all in one go. And go and watch our How to Get Started as a Copywriter in 2023 video, which we did in February in the live section of our YouTube channel page. There's a lot out there about how to get clients consistently. How would I start marketing for a business who has only ever been advertising through word of mouth? This business does school gyms, sanding, and refinishing jobs.
Real business.
As in, this business that does school. Hang on, as in, like, it just does sanding and refinishing for school gyms. That's very specific. I'm not sure
probably
about this.
Like the floor, like the wood floors, probably.
Right. Okay. Well, basically, easy answer is if this is a local-based business and they know roughly who their clients are, two things you can do. One, you get you have a cold outreach strategy where if you know exactly who your client base is going to be, then reach out to them via direct mail packages, phone calls, flyers. It's explaining why they may need it. Specifically, if they have pain points already around the fact that just doesn't look great anymore, or it could be potentially dangerous if they don't get it looked at. Great, there's an angle for you to start advertising directly to them. If it's something that people are searching, run local Google ads is another great tactic. If it's a common service, again, I would direct you to No Man's Niche, which is the book that Lindsay fronted about experiences pitching for local businesses and marketing for local businesses. But yeah, anyone who's just been doing through word of mouth, just find out who's the ideal client, who have they been selling to before, where do those people hang out? Is it a particular kind of business? Good, go straight to that business. Is it a wide variety of people who are searching this specific thing? Good, get on a local PPC campaign drive. Hopefully that's answered that. Hi, I'm wondering how to make my pitch emails more engaging and more successful. What are some good ways I can target client pain points by email in a tactful way? Rod, Lindsay, any thoughts on this?
Try to speak to like the actual experience they have. So like if you're, I don't know, a therapist, and for some weird reason you're trying to like do cold email with therapy services, actually speak to the things that people are feeling. Talk about like, hey, do you ever feel like really like you can't even get out of bed because you're just so down, or you like not reaching out, you're avoiding friends and family because you feel so anxious, yada yada yada. If you identify the pain points, don't just talk about broad category of pain. Talk about like the way in which it's that person might experience it and like the effect it might have on other things in their life in a way that is relevant.
Yeah, I like the word tactful here because, like we were speaking about earlier, there are, if we want to use the term direct response methods, please rewind the video if you want to get that joke. But there are like old school kind of real hard, pushy, salesy tactics that people fall back on quite a lot when they're doing cold pitching. They'll use a lot of cliche phrases, or they'll be very much like, "Oh, don't you hate it when this happens?" So I like the word tactful in there because you can translate what that kind of style is trying to do, but in a tactful way. What I mean by that is instead of saying, "Man, don't you hate when your client calendar runs dry?" Instead of saying something like that, you can talk about, "Hey, I noticed you have this block of this calendar form on your contact page. Send them a screenshot of their website. Just wanted to know how this is going for you because I've worked with people in the past where they've had problems with clients coming to them because of this form." right? Now, it might necessarily be the form. You could do that based on like anything or the ads they're running or something like that. But the point is, you're saying the same thing. But you're being quite tactful about it because you're showing them that you've actually done the research. You're specifying what you're saying to their specific case, and you're offering to give them advice from a place of experience. You're not just coming out to them and saying, "Hey, don't you hate it when this happens?" or "God, I can fix this for you." Like just off the bat. I have a video, I believe, on the YouTube called I can't remember what it's called. But it's about dimensionalization. Oh, I should be better with this. I kind of talk about like, I think it's called something like how to not write salesy, something like that. And that video I think will help you. Okay, last 2 questions. 5 minutes ago, we're doing well. As a newbie copywriter, I'm curious, how the hell do you not get overwhelmed and just stop out your anxiety? What do you guys think?
Okay, so first, we actually have a video on this on our YouTube channel titled "What Your Anxiety Really Means." You can go check it out. But also, I'm going to post a link to it right now in our YouTube chat. So just click that link if you want to watch it. Where it's a longer video, so we actually go into this in some depth. But my answer in that video is that basically there's 2 kinds of anxiety. One is just like the general sort of like self-doubt anxiety that we all feel all the time. Are we good enough to, justify our place in the world? Are we worthy of love? Whatever. We can't help a ton with that, but obviously getting reps in, building confidence through success, through, dedication, discipline, acknowledging that you are worth it because you get up every day and try your best. Very important. The other anxiety, more relevant to like this endeavor, is the anxiety of not knowing if your skill set is good enough for a particular job. And I think a lot of that comes from trial and error and trusting that if someone hires you, part of them hiring you is the built-in risk of things not going well. And it's okay if you fail. You may not necessarily get hired by them again, but you are better off for having tried and failed because you will be aware of your limitations and how to improve them the next time. So, even if you're not fully confident, the most important thing is to don't freeze up, try the thing, try to do the work, and then your results will tell you if you're good enough or if you need to go back and do some work. And you can always try again.
And I like what you guys said earlier about just leaning into processes as well.
Yeah.
Set up a good little routine for yourself. Just use discipline. Get yourself out of it.
Think about how Rogel Dawn and the Imperial Fists held the gate at Palace of Terror. Okay, cool. Thanks. And then one last question, which is, what are I don't like this guy's name actually. Sean
This is such a Sean McIntyre.
This is such a question. I don't know. This guy's actually pissing me off. Everyone should go and hate crime this guy. That was too strong. What?
Things must be different on that side of the ocean. I don't know.
We take the piss a lot more over here, which I learned that you guys don't do over there.
Because you get shot if you do that here, Alex.
I did. I died. All right. What are the major types of copy one can get? Look, he says one instead of I because he's a knobhead. What are the major types of copy one can get paid well to write as a freelancer? What types of copy should one study, to confer the most crossover benefits? I don't know any of these words. To all other types of copy. Sean McIntyre. Fucking Christ. Okay. What are the major types of copy one can get paid well to write as a freelancer? A copy that converts. The closer you are to a conversion point, it usually means you're going to be getting paid more. So if you're writing like blogs or articles, which are a lot easier to write because a lot more people have that skill because it's generally easier to do, you're probably not going to be as in demand as someone who can drive revenue through Google Ads and a corresponding landing page and checkout optimization copy. That's the kind of stuff that businesses will pay more for because you can prove that you can make more money for them. So that's why I say don't niche down, because there's so many opportunities to do that in different niches. You just need to understand the process for researching in a niche and then being able to produce the same results. So that is what I would say. That would probably for me have the most crossover benefits to other types of copy. Think about what actually makes money for businesses very easily. Emails are a big one, conversion-based emails that run to easy checkout pages, especially in e-commerce is a big one. So yeah, that's what I would say. What would you guys say for that?
We actually have a video about this.
Oh man, we have a lot of videos.
So before either of you were actually on the show, but it's called the Definitive Copywriting Tier or Niche Tier List.
Love it.
I'll post it in chat. You can check out. I will not elaborate any further.
Awesome.
Good. Okay, then I think the last thing left to say is that just to be real for a second, guys, like I mentioned earlier, we don't like make any money from doing these. This is purely like a hobby for us, and it's very fun. And obviously, we want to earn money as a business to keep it going. So if you do enjoy this stuff and you want us to keep doing this, and you want to unlock, God, hundreds of hours worth of video content that has never been seen before by regular normal people who are just on YouTube, and if you want to get all the masterclasses we've done, of which I do ones about e-commerce and how to write product pages, how to pitch successfully, how to build the best CV you could possibly build, which I have had. Thank you very much, anyone watching this who's seen that one, because I've had 3 or 4, 5 people at this point say, I did your CV, and everyone said it's the best CV they've ever read, and I got a job for it. So thank you very much for that. Like building a network, how to pitch local businesses, how to earn more money, how to negotiate a higher salary / wage as a freelancer. I've got a series.
Like, we immediately need to up our prices. Like, this is crazy.
It is actually kind of stupid, but that's exactly the reason. We don't want to just charge a ton of money for like basic stuff. All the basic stuff we put out for free, and the more in-depth stuff we do, at a very, very low rate for patrons, because you guys support us. There are some courses that we're going to have to do where we're going to have to charge more because it's actually taken years off of our lives to do it. But generally speaking, everything that you need is there for free. But also Beardless Sean in that video, it's a rare site. But also if you do want more of that stuff, which, I would probably be thousands of dollars worth if we were selling them as courses. If you just want all that for $20 a month, go to the Patreon. It means a lot because it's really nice. It helps to support the channel, and it pays for all the video editing. Our lovely editor, Noah, who is our shining star in the sky. And for us to have better equipment. If you go back to those early days, you'll look at the cameras and the mics and be like, what? That's where the money goes. So yeah, please go and join patreon.com/copythatshow if you can afford it, is another thing. Like, do not go in thinking, right, this is going to guarantee I'm going to be a successful copywriter, so I'm going to spend my last $20 on it. Please don't do that. If you enjoy our content, if you want to get the absolute behind the scenes and nitty gritty details of how really good copywriters do things and how to make more money, then go and do it, because it helps support the channel and you get a bunch of shit. Is that a plug, guys? Did I do okay?
That was great.
Oh, you forgot one thing. What month is it, Alex?
Yes.
Are we doing the Star Wars thing? Is that what we're doing?
No. Oh, no.
May the 4th be with you guys.
No. Okay, we're pitching. So we're pitching. We're doing the pitch.
Yeah.
What did we say that May was?
May was. Oh yeah. There's the thing we discussed. Critiques. That's the other thing you get from Patreon. God, I forgot about that. You get an exclusive role in our Discord server where you can talk to us 24/7. I mean, you can message us 24/7. I'm not going to be replying 24/7. I'll reply when you tag me, and I'm not asleep and I'm not at work, but I'll reply. You also get free critiques as a Patreon. Well, not free because you're paying for Patreon, but you get critiques where we will every Wednesday, every other Wednesday, on Wednesdays, Whetstone Wednesdays, we will look at your copy and we will critique it live on stream and tell you what is good about it, what is bad about it, and how you can improve it, most importantly. So that is reserved for patrons because it takes our brain power and time. So yeah, this month we're going to be doing quite a few of those critiquing streams. So if you want to get on Patreon and then submit your copy in the exclusive critiques channel, which you can only get by joining patreon.com/copythatshow, we will critique your copy. Rod, did I do okay?
I look. I can't stand up right now. That's how well you did.
I remembered all the other stuff as well.
No, that was great.
What time is the critique stream? Says Path. Critique streams are the time that this one started, so 3 p.m. EST, Wednesdays. We'll occasionally just do like a random impromptu one as well.
Yeah.
We'll be subscribing now. Blaz, awesome.
Awesome.
And
Alex, you're a funny man.
The replays are also available too. So like if you are considering it, you can go watch the previous ones. And if you can't be there, you can always watch the replay and we'll still like go over your copy. So
Patreon link. Oh my god, look at these people telling us we should be doing these things. Rod, can you paste the link in the chat, please? Naveen, thank you. But you're actually a better copywriter than we are because you remember the CTA. Feralith says, I've now got the chat up so I can see it because that's not moving it. Feralith says Patreon is worth every dollar. Feralith, favorite name, and we love you, so thank you very much. Someone said we love you, Sean. I don't know why you would say that when he's not even here. Like, weird, but whatever. We don't. Someone has to.
Fuck Patrick.
We're not actually dunking on you, Patrick. Don't worry. We're dunking on Sean. Do you have any courses e-com copywriting specifically? So
also on Patreon.
Also on Patreon, something I don't think I really mentioned is there's my e-com adventure series, which is on pause right now but if the studious among you will have noticed, the fact that I have boxes of e-com products that I'm going to be selling should point that there's going to be a return quite soon. But I have an e-com adventure series on Patreon, which I think is 20 episodes long so far, and it's I just paint exactly what you need to build an e-commerce store. I do quite a lot on it. It's like a lot of hours. Exactly what you need to build an e-commerce store. I go through real over-the-shoulder research because you're just watching me build an e-commerce store, basically, or like do the research first of all for an e-commerce store, because that's the point I'm up to at the moment. Like, 20 hours worth of research or so of me just going on websites and going, right, this is what I'm looking for. Here is the IVOC that I'm doing. I'm pasting it in here. Now I'm ranking it. We can use these as different ideas. And I talk about like the different types of e-commerce, different products, and we review a lot of e-commerce copy in that series as well. And I talk about the things to do in e-commerce. I've also got an e-com product page masterclass, which is also on the patreon.com/copy that show, which I think is like 2 hours long, where I go through what e-commerce product page is, what good copy looks like, my formula for writing product descriptions, which is copper oxide, by the way, which... Ooh, look at me intriguing you because you don't know what that means. But now you're gonna be like, what does copper oxide mean? Well, you gotta watch it. Yeah, Feralith again coming in with a testimonial because she's awesome. Great e-com series. But it's been on hold. One, because I got super busy with my other things and running my other e-com stores. So, and I wanted to build this one from scratch. But it's definitely making a return like this summer. I'm tired.
Let's go home.
I'm so tired. Yeah, but now I'm like, we're chatting shit. And this is definitely on Copy That streams. How are 34 people watching this? My God, you guys are awesome. But like, we get to the 2 hour mark in Copy That streams, and it just crumbles into just shit houses.
Lindsay has to go though.
I do have to jet.
We have to end this.
Yep. So
so sad. All right,
guys, I think this was great. We had a lot of questions that we didn't get answered though. So I don't know. Do we do another one of these at some point?
I guess
I'd say we do another one of these. I
Awesome.
do. There's something I would say though.
Want another one of these?
Something I do need to say though is Q&As usually are for Patreon members. This one was like kind of not very common in that we just all had time today and we were like, let's do one. We will probably do one again for free because they are good fun, but it is 2 hours of our time. And we have families and stuff. I want to go. Please let me go. You know what? We're going to go for another 2 hours just to spite path. But
yeah, I mean, Gregor, hey, thanks for joining.
Oh,
we are about to start the stream, and we've got questions lined up. No, I'm just kidding. You should.
Slam link again.
We're done. That's it.
Yeah,
All right.
The dude who shows up to the party at the same time as the cops come to shut it down.
How do we? Where's the Patreon link? Wait, I'm good at tech. Let me get it up.
Yeah, I'll post it in chat one more time. It's still.
I'm doing it.
Control V.
I'm doing it.
Look, it's too late. I hit enter.
Oh God, Lindsay, I've just seen your message saying you've got to go. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
For you guys who can't see, about 5 minutes ago, Lindsay said, "I've got to go, guys!" ! And Rod then 2 minutes later said, "Alex, stop talking." And I've only just seen both of them. Nah, you can stay, Lindsay. You're all right.
All right. Feel free to stay, you guys. Well, we'll see you. Bye.
See you, Lindsay.
Peace.
All right.
Yeah, we're all gonna go. Have a good one, Lindsay. Love
Thanks,
you,
guys.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.